Oh yes, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Frank and I'm a goat farmer, and I'm so glad to be sharing with you this evening, this afternoon, about a factor, an important factor in goat production, and that is land. For anybody out there planning to start goat farming, this is what I want to talk about this factor, and that is land. Land is a very key factor in goat farming. And before you start, before you buy your animals, before you bring, you even think about bringing animals, what type of breed, to rear in your farm, one of the very, very, very key factors is land. Now, in us choosing the land or the qualities of the land, to establish our goat farm on, we have to look at the type of or the kind of goat farming that we want to venture in. One may want to venture into free range kind of system, and the other person may want to venture into the zero grazing kind of system. So in you understanding the type of farming or goat farming you want to venture in, it will play a big role in the nature of the land that you'll maybe possess or purchase. Yeah, so in this video I'll be talking about the qualities of land that one should consider, or the qualities one should consider in purchasing land for their goat farm. And in this case, if you're a new beginner in goat farming, if you're new into goat farming, I would encourage that you consider that you consider the free range kind of system, because the free range kind of system is it is first of all cheap. One, you don't have you would have eliminated the costs, the feed costs. Secondly, the zero kind of grazing gives the animals a variety of choice in the feeds they eat. Yeah, so they're not limited to a specific kind of food, and they look out for the kinds of feeds they want. They have that liberty, they have a choice, to choose on what kind of feeds they can have. So right now I'm in the grazing land, or the grazing area for my animals. Right now they're in the field, they've gone to eat, and I'm just in part of the grazing land. As you can see, it's really wonderful. The place is full of bushes, and when you look at goats are browsers. These are animals that love bushes, eating from the top. They love higher places. They love climbing up. Even when they're eating, they want the top parts of the bushes. So that's the nature of the animals. So if you're a new farmer and you're planning to venture into goat farming, I would advise start with the free range kind of system. And so the free range kind of system will demand for such piece of land. It will demand for such piece of land, and I can tell you from experience, animals love such kind of experiences. Goats love such kind of experiences where they are free to venture to discover the different kinds of feeds they can have. So they love that. So if you're new, this is the type I would recommend for beginners, because the zero kind of grazing is quite expensive, because one, you have to look for feeds, specific feeds for those animals, of which most times you're purchasing the feeds. Secondly, you're denying the animals the liberty to look out for a variety of feeds or nutrients in different feeds. So that is one of the kind of course, it also has its advantages. It also has its advantages in that, one, your animals are secure, because you're keeping them in the confines of your farm, and all the needs that are required are presented to them right there. So the security of the animals is guaranteed, unlike on the free range system. But for free range system, that will call for you to, hire someone to do the grazing, to look after the animals. And if you're a farmer and you'd love to do the breeding of your animals, maybe to improve on the quality of your animals, yes, both kinds of systems can work. It can work in zero grazing, better in zero grazing, and it can also work in free range system. But in the free range system, the person grazing has to be so keen. That person has to be well trained, well advised on how these animals are supposed to behave while they're in the field. And in case you are in an area where different animals, graze from the same land, that means the person, the shepherd, has to be so keen on how the animals are grazing, not to mix up with other animals, because your breeds might be much better than the breeds of the neighbors. So the local breeds coming and interfering with your breeds would definitely kill what you're planning to do. So away from that, was just away from that, I was talking about land. So land is a very, very important factor. I would advise you to start with the free range system. And now, in purchasing land might seem quite expensive, especially for a beginner. It might seem very expensive. You may not have the capital and all the money to start, but you need the land, because you can't do farming, you can't do the goat farming without land. So you need the land. Still talking about land. Land is a very important factor. So I was saying it might be so expensive for a beginner to purchase land or to own maybe, let's say, 5 and above acres of land. But there are several ways we can access land. Cheaper ways, because here in this video I'm trying to help out a beginner. One of the ways, I'm going to just outline the few ways you can acquire land. Yes, you can acquire land for your free range system of grazing. So one of the ways is leasing land. Now, usually free range kind of system is much better in rural areas where we have the bushes and the thickets here, that give a variety of choice to the animals, to pick out the feeds they want. So this might not apply in the urban centers. So if you're planning to lease land, maybe let's say for 3 years, 5 years, preferably 5 years and above, lease land that is in a rural area, and then look out for land that has bushes. Don't look out for land that is totally flat, with grasses, savanna kind of grasses. Look out for land that has bushes, because the kind of animals you want to graze, the kind of animals you want to look after are browsers. These are animals that love climbing, they love bushes, they love eating from the top. So look out for land that has bushes. That is point number one. So in leasing land is point number one. But in leasing land, you have to look out for that kind of land, most especially in rural areas. And don't be so considerate on where the land is. You can start anywhere and you develop your thing, and the world gets to know you from wherever you are. It might be that remote area that people think has no future, but you can start it there, and then you make the world you want to make in that area. So just go there in the rural areas, lease land at a cheaper price, lease 5 and above acres of land if possible, if you have the money, because land in rural areas is usually cheaper compared to the modern areas or the developed areas. So you can lease land in the rural areas. You can go to up country and lease land. Start there, start your project, establish a project there, develop it, and make your own world, create your own world right there. So that is one of the points. The second point is if you have a family that has, if you have a family land, that can also be an opportunity for starters, because we're talking about someone starting, trying to start, someone trying to come up. So one of the other ways is to use the family land. Reach out to your father, reach out to your grandfather, tell them about the project you want to start, and then request for land. It can be 1 acre, 2 acres, it can be an acre. Just establish there a farm and then utilize the other portion of land that is not in use, maybe that is not being used for farming, and utilize it for grazing as grazing land. So that is the other point. All this that I'm trying to bring out are cheaper ways of acquiring land for beginners without having, you know, that large capital to purchase land. Then number 3 can be starting small. Starting small. Yeah, you can purchase land. It can be an acre of land, it can be a small portion of land, but putting in mind that you're purchasing it in a rural area, an area that has room for grazing, you know, an area that has room for grazing. So you can start small, you can start with that 50 by 100, you can start with that 1 acre of land that you've purchased. You can save up and then start small with that little capital, buy 1 acre of land. Don't start big, start small. Yeah, start small. For all the successful people I've had, most of the successful people, not all, but most of them, they started small and they made it. So don't underestimate the small beginnings. You can start small and make it. It's very possible. Yeah, so you can purchase land, that small portion of land, put there your structures, cheap structures, and then begin from there. Start with few animals. You don't have to have so many animals. If it is a business, okay, it would be more preferable to start with quite a good number of animals, 50 and above maybe. Yeah. So the fact that you have females and males, that is a multiplication effect. There's a multiplication effect there. So that gives you the confidence that by all means these animals will multiply. It's just a matter of time and patience. The animals will multiply. But if you are business minded, you can start big. Of course, we are talking about starting small for small beginners. Okay, for small beginners, start small, but don't rely on your small beginnings as the source of income. No, the fact that you've started small, now patience has to set in. Patience has to come in. The time factor has to come in. You have to be patient as you keep increasing on the animals. Be patient with the process because you've started small. But if you had the money, you would start big, and the multiplication effect would be made easier and much faster. So that is point number 3, 4. Yeah, the first point was lease land. Second point, use family land. Those are cheaper ways. Third point is start small. Start small. Get that small piece of land. Start from there. That is another easy way of starting. You don't have to have a big, just because you've watched someone on YouTube with maybe 50 acres of land and they're doing goat farming. No, you don't have to start that way. Start with that 1 acre of land, but you can purchase it in a remote area that has an extension of grazing land that may not belong to you but to the community maybe, and so you utilize that space for grazing. But what you own as your farm is maybe a small piece of land where you establish your structures and animals, you know, rest from. So those are the 3 points so far. Then those are the 3 points that I can share with you at the moment, but with time I'll keep sharing with us. This channel is here to encourage us, to support us, to help each other grow, grow, and then be established. So what I can say about this is goat farming is easy. Goats are good. They are friendly animals. They are lovely animals. Very humble. They don't disturb, and it would be important if we all came up and, you know, we took up this as a project. It's lovely. It's lovely looking at those animals. And by the way, there's a scenario I noticed. One particular goat, each time I enter the yard, it has a tendency of drawing close to me. It just comes naturally. It's so friendly, and it's a lovely moment, to see that goat coming close to me and kind of rubbing its head around my legs, and it's really a beautiful moment. So really, they are lovely animals to stay around, to keep, and so that's what I had to share with you on things concerning land. But we shall have to share more and more with time. If you have any other ways people can acquire land easily, you can drop it in the comment section. But also consider subscribing to this channel. Like the video, share it. Let's grow this family. Yeah, thank you so much. Shalom.